Well, it is finally time for me to cover the new and improved Earth Allies. It is certainly one of the clunkiest builds we've ever had in this game that requires quite a bit of creative use of game mechanics to even work in the first place. If you aren't familiar with Earth Allies, it is probably the strongest build right now, but it requires a very specific playstyle. And the reason for that is our allies only deal somewhat reliable damage if they are out of their rock form when we press the Mystic Ally button. Upon activation, they will do some major damage to enemies around us, but after that they will often roll toward the enemies at the side of the screen or even completely fly off the map. This means that the next time you set up your nuke, your allies will likely still be rolling around in a different continent, and you will do absolutely zero damage. To counter this, we need to revert our allies back after each nuke. This can be done in two ways. One is to teleport home, and the other is to change the rift floor. So this is the reason you see me constantly returning to town. Now, despite the build might look stupid, it is in fact hard to play and requires precise timing. I run a variant here that uses a Squirt's necklace, which I believe is the way to go if you want to reach the highest tier. This of course means that the build is extremely squishy and you will likely get one shot if you mess up anything. You can also run a version with the Bastions of Wheel instead of the Endless Walk set for even more damage, but that way you will have a much harder time to survive when you need to stay in the rift for a longer period of time, for example when you have a conduit pylon. The build has a very stationary and weird playstyle in general. Prior to our first nuke, we tried to herd a lot of mobs and preferably elites together while using our movement to survive. Around 3 seconds into our lightning cycle, we pop our Serenity, jump in the middle of the pool, press Cyclone Strike and start attacking with our generator. Once physical cycle comes, press Mystic Ally and use our second dashing strike charge to jump into an Oculus Ring proc. Just keep on attacking with the generator until Serenity wears off, then press Cyclone Strike again, drop Inner Sanctuary and start teleporting home. Since we have the toughness from our shoulders, Inner Sanctuary and homing pads, plus double cheat deaths, it is very likely that we can return to town safely. Once in town, the rotation actually continues. You see, I'm not spam clicking Tyrael because I want to ask about his health, but because I want to get a Flying Dragon proc. Flying Dragon has a 4% chance to proc on any action you take, which includes talking to an NPC, and will stay up for 7 seconds. The latest time when we should click the return portal is 1 second into our lightning cycle, and it is preferable to get a Flying Dragon proc just before that, to ensure that it will be up when physical cycle comes. This is the reason I don't immediately start to spam click Tyrael, since getting a too early proc will do us no good. When we load back into the rift, we have a second or two to find a place for our nuke, and the next tip is very important. We are completely invulnerable until we take our first action when we arrive back to the rift, which is also true for when we move to a different floor. This is why, since we are squishy and want to preserve our skirt's buff, we should always press Serenity prior to doing anything else. Once Serenity is up, we can set up our nuke and continue with the rotation as said earlier. An additional important thing to keep in mind is that with the exception of Speed Pylon, we lose all Pylon buffs upon returning to town, but we don't lose them by changing floors. Except for Conduit, Pylons don't do much for us in general, so it is often better to just keep doing your rotation and drop them. So this is it in a nutshell. The build is actually more fun to play than it looks, but Earth Allies would definitely need a big rework. If you don't want to mess around with this, which by the way I completely understand, then you might want to stick to a Water Ally variant, which is only slightly weaker but can be played in a more traditional way. I will leave you with the rest of the clear and will show my gear at the end as always. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. See you next time.
Returning to town. must heal. Not yet recharged. Flaws are revealed. I don't have enough spirit. It is not ready yet. My strength returns. Not yet recharged. Feel the wrath of Yitar! Your flaws are revealed. Strike through me. I am returning to town. That ability is not yet recharged. Ready yet. Great beneath endless tide. I need to go back. I must wait to use that ability. Save me! Ability is not yet recharged. Feel the wrath of Yitar! not yet recharged. Use that ability. I need to go back. That ability is not yet recharged. I am returning to town.
The Rift Guardian is here.
I need spirit. It is not ready yet. That ability is not yet recharged. My will falters. It is not ready yet. Not enough spirit. I must wait to use that ability. It is not ready yet.